We are live.
Good evening and welcome. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Council. Today is Wednesday, November 13th. It is 7:30 p.m. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to elect newly elected Councilor Michael Beck to lead us in the pledge.
Well, the new guy, plus.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is a portion of the meeting set aside for public comment for concerns related to city business. Public comment, whether in person or via Zoom, requires a person to state your name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. Obscene, threatening, or overly repetitive remarks will be interrupted and removed, as will disruption and disorderly behavior that interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. The council chair has discretion over the time allowed for public comment. Tonight we will have 60 minutes for public comment and each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Personnel complaints pertaining to alleged misconduct of individual employees are handled through a different confidential process and will not be entertained by the council in public. Per Maine law, complaints of misconduct are generally entitled to confidentiality and handled in executive session. The public comment period is for city council members to listen. It is the city council's practice to not respond or debate with persons during the public comment period. If a comment requires additional action, it will either be taken up by a city council committee or followed up on by the appropriate staff member. If you do not live in Bangor or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do live or own property in Bangor to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer comment on any item related to city business that does not appear on the regular agenda, you may approach the podium. On Zoom, the public can be recognized to speak using the hand raise function or on the phone by pressing *9.
So Mike, will you go first?
Hello, my name is Brendan Davison. I live in Bangor, Maine. I would like to begin by expressing my strong support for those in this room who are here in solidarity with the unhoused community and echo my own opposition to the planned encampment sweep. It's imperative that our city invest in meaningful solutions to the housing crisis rather than continuing to just sweep this issue under the rug and make the most vulnerable people in this community suffer, especially in the dead of winter. However, that's not the primary issue that I rise to speak on this evening. Rather, I would like to bring to the attention of this council and to the broader Bangor community the concerns around the recent arrival of a rather infamous neo-Nazi and far-right extremist, Richard Levi Ward, to this city. Last month, I was informed by a friend of mine that Ward, who is well known in Portland's far-right scene, had allegedly relocated to Bangor. Ward is notorious in southern Maine for his racist, anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ, and anti-Semitic views. He has made a name for himself by giving hate-filled, conspiracy-laden, and anti-Semitic speeches at Portland City Council meetings, which in part led to Portland ceasing the Zoom public comment. He's also known for parading around Portland with racist banners, which in at least one instance led to a violent confrontation, and for distributing racist materials from far-right organizations, including the neo-Nazi Goyim Defense League, the Proud Boys, and Alex Jones's InfoWars. Shortly after learning of Ward's move to Bangor, I noticed that racist yard signs began appearing around the city with conspiratorial messages about white genocide and other forms of hate. Soon after, a group of activists informed me that they had encountered a fascist spouting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories who attempted to infiltrate an event of theirs. After I inquired further, they positively identified the interloper as Ward. This deepened my concern and suspicion that Ward had in fact moved to the Bangor area and was renewing his reactionary activities. Ward's presence in Bangor was further confirmed on October 31st when he was photographed holding a racist and anti-immigrant banner outside of Catholic Charities in Brewer. And the following day after the election, Ward was seen unfurling another banner promoting mass deportations on the Chamberlain Bridge, while wearing a shirt emblazoned with the number 88, which is a neo-Nazi code for HH, which I hope I don't need to explain what that would mean to a Nazi. And then I was actually informed today, right before this meeting, that earlier this day, Ward attacked some protesters at a Palestine Solidarity event in downtown Bangor just a few hours ago. I've already shared this information with local organizers and activists, members of the Advisory Committee on Racial Equality, Inclusion, and Human Rights, the City Manager's Office, and Congregation Bethel. I now bring this issue to the council and to the public at large to make them aware of the danger this individual poses to our community. And I want to just send a message to Mr. Ward himself and to every fascist that seeks to spread their poisonous ideology in this community. They are not welcome here. We stand united against fascism, against hate, against racism. And to quote the great Woody Guthrie, I'm going to tell all you fascists you may be surprised. People in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists are bound to lose. Thank you. No pasaran.
Before we take the next speaker, for those of you holding banners, you're welcome to do so. Please make sure that you're not blocking the view of people behind you. If so, please move so that people can see. Thank you.
You ready for me? Good evening. My name is Scott Party. I'm a resident of Bangor, and tonight I will briefly discuss, among other things, overdose prevention centers again. With ongoing discussions about needle distribution without one-on-one exchanges and the rise in discarded needles in public areas, along with an increase in HIV cases in our region, it is clear that the current approach is ineffective. We need to be open to trying something different. OPCs have the potential to significantly transform the landscape in this dire situation. It is well known that the majority of individuals in Tent City are actively using illicit drugs, which I see as a primary cause of homelessness. If we do not address this issue, we will achieve little or nothing, and half measures are insufficient. I will continue to come to speak with you regularly on this issue. I will be at the next meeting to briefly discuss our ongoing trash disposal issues, just so you know what's coming up out of me. I want to say welcome to our new council members. So, Mr. Mallor, I'm hopeful that you will get the public comment time increased and be able to comment on what is presented to you, as you mentioned that that's what you would like to do. I know that you experienced similar frustration when you were on this side of the panel. We really don't know if what we are presenting is falling on deaf ears. Mr. Beck, I'm hopeful that you will be able to bring fresh eyes on the homeless problem and on the lack of housing that is so desperately needed in this area. And welcome everybody, and off to a new year. Thank you. I'm still waiting for my coffee.
Anytime.
Okay.
You have my number.
I do, thank you.
Let's have coffee.
Pardon me. Hold up there. Good evening, council members. My name is Jillian Smitherman. I'm a Bangor resident. I'm here to speak against the plan to close Camp Hope encampment at the end of December. There were a lot of stories shared tonight outside by people who have either lived at Camp Hope or have lived in similar situations. And I'm here to speak on behalf of those folks. And I just want you all to think of these folks as human beings. This sweep is inhuman. I encourage you all to rethink this plan and I think that we should also think about working on a plan to prioritize helping people rather than criminalizing them or forcing them into dangerous, even more dangerous situations. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who wishes to speak?
My name is Mackenzie Thompson. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a resident of Bangor. I have been since the age of 5. I've lived in Bangor my whole life and have witnessed the homeless population, and it has always been in me to help and to see them go through a sweep It is unhealthy, it is inhumane, and it is only causing harm and violence to them. And I encourage you to think about stopping the sweep coming up in December. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Justin Cartier. I'm a resident of Bangor. I'd like to congratulate Wayne Mallor and Mr. Beck on their election, and Susan on your re-election, and Council Chair Pelletier for her re-election to your position. I know you're making these decisions to clear the Camp Hope at the end of the year, and I know you haven't made this decision lightly. It's something you've all had to think hard about, how to be compassionate and to consider everyone's feelings. And I know I'm often up here telling you to consider just the feelings of the taxpayers and the children of the city of Bangor, but I know you're considering everyone's, and I have full confidence in that. You've done a lot of steps to try to help people in the city, adding outhouses, which didn't initially meet ADA compliance, but after they cut the legs off them, I guess they do, although the doorways are now too short. I'm sure we'll get that addressed eventually. But I do want to commend you for cleaning up Camp Hope. It is time for that to end. And I know you're doing everything you can to get people housed and the people that want to be. Not everybody does. There are people that do want to stay out there and do what they're going to do. And you can't help everyone. I know we all want to, and we all try to do the best we can. And I know you have done the best you can, and I want to commend you and thank you all for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Emily Barney. I'm a resident of Frankfort. I am here speaking on behalf of Jennifer Dimmick, who's a resident of Camp Hope. She asked me to share her story. I'm here as an advocate. I'm here as somebody who has loved somebody that was unhoused and died from the results. I am here speaking on behalf of those who are really living in survival mode and need long-term solutions. Not, oh, here's a warming center, but let's work on making sure people aren't being priced out of the market. I think that needs to be part of the conversation. Okay, so if you all don't mind, I'm going to read what Jennifer presented to me. So Jennifer is mobility challenged. She actually is right now in a wheelchair. And so that presents some obvious challenges living in the encampment. So shelter challenges and accessibility issues. If the shelter were safe and accessible, I would go. However, my experiences with bullying by both shelter staff and other residents make it a hostile environment for me. I live with PTSD, and this type of treatment worsens my mental health. Being disrespected and treated unequally is deeply triggering. The shelter cannot currently accommodate those with medical issues or mobility aids, such as a wheelchair, which adds additional barriers. People who have alcohol or drugs on them or may have been using are not allowed entry. This policy leaves many individuals without safe shelter options, and that's real. We shouldn't be leaving people out in the cold because they're struggling to find recovery. Our belongings, the encampment, though imperfect, provides us with a community where we can look out for each other and feel safer. Although we lack essential resources like bathrooms and running water, we can rely on each other. Recently, a person died in a fire. Had there been a nearby fire hydrant or other safety measures, it might have been prevented. Our belongings are safe at the encampment, which when you're living out of a backpack and that's all you have, that's really important. My sister died with nothing, and I think a lot about that. So when you have to carry all of your belongings out each morning by 6 a.m. and have nowhere to go until the evening, that increases that difficulty. We are all lucky enough, we have 4 walls and a roof we get to go home to, So with limited daytime options, most businesses don't allow us to stay. While the library allows us in, we can't sleep there. Leaving the encampment to seek medical care is even challenging. Oh, is that the?
That's time.
Okay, so I'm sorry it took so long, but the last thing I wanna say in conclusion, there's a need for them to be heard. There's a need to get rid of the stigma that's attached to this and to bring long-term sustainable solutions to the table. I do not feel sweeping people out in the middle of winter is appropriate or humane. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Cheyenne Garoshin. I am a resident of Orono, Maine, a student at University of Maine, but I work as a behavioral health professional for young adults and children on the spectrum. I come here as an advocate for the homeless community of Bangor and the greater Bangor area. And I implore you to reconsider the sweep planned for Camp Hope. I come here as an advocate for people who are divergent, who they thrive in a community full of compassion and empathy. And I don't believe that a sweep in the middle of December with no critical plans of additional support for the homeless community, no plans of utilizing the space that you are planning on sweeping for any public aid or public support, is just a great disservice to your greater community, and also leaves these people with a feeling of dehumanization and rejection. And if any of you can have any compassion during the holiday season, I would love to see some civic plans for housing, recovery, mental health supports, anything of the matter that lends a hand out rather than smacking a hand away. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jude and I am a resident of Orono. Before I moved to Orono, I was working in Portland with homeless adults and teenagers. And I think, I've heard that you guys are doing a lot of really great work to try and get outreach workers connected with folks that are living in Camp Hope. And I would just like to say that if you go forward with the sweep, all of that work is going to be erased. It makes it so much more difficult for individuals to reconnect with their social workers, with their community. And it makes it so that individuals lose their all of their belongings, their tents and their IDs, and all of these things that I know, time and again we've heard from municipal governments that police are not going to take people's belongings during sweeps, and time and again we hear from the individuals that are affected by these sweeps that does happen. And the effect of this is that people are not able to receive the services that they were once able to be receiving, because these relationships with service providers are built on trust that is built up over time. And sweeping encampments makes it so that social workers are not able to find the people that they have been working with. And so if you really truly want to make it so that there are fewer people who are living on the streets in Bangor, which I believe that you do, you will not sweep the encampment, because it will just set the community back so much further and fragment these communities, where people who are living in this situation with very little support from society. When we were, outside listening to folks with lived experience discuss their experiences being in the community in Bangor, they, were discussing a lot of mistreatment and feeling like they were not welcomed in the community, feeling like people looked down on them and thought that they were dirty or not, worth help. And that community that has formed at Camp Hope over the time that it has been there is a lifeline for people who have, very little other support. And if you want people to not be on the street, you're not, sweeping the encampment is going to make it so much harder for people to have any sort of community or any sort of feeling of belonging and be able to make progress on these goals and these things that they're criticized so heavily for. And so I've seen, I've heard people talk about, and I've seen directly what happens when this repeated effort, when people are trying so hard to, make progress and, work on these specific goals and access these services that, you say you want them to access, but they can't if they don't have, access to their IDs and all of these things. And so great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approach, or we have one more?
Good evening, council members. My name is Eddie Nakami. I'm a resident of Orono. I'm here to speak against the plan to close the Camp Hope encampment at the end of December. This type of action is shown to harm homeless populations, and it is inhumane and dangerous to the lives of real people to sweep them out of an encampment where they're able to find some semblance of community and stability. Closure of this encampment is not a good way to make people safer just as winter is starting. A solution focused on connecting people to resources like housing, addiction support, and job placement without forcing them to leave the encampment would be a better way to support the people at Camp Hope. Please reconsider this December deadline and work on a plan that prioritizes helping people instead of causing more instability in their lives. Thanks for your time.
Hello, my name is Jay Madi. I am a resident of the greater Bangor area, but specifically an advocate who works with the houseless population in Bangor and who has worked against houseless sweeps across the country for the past 15 years. The trajectory that I have seen in sweeping houseless populations has been that people die of drug overdose more frequently when these places are swept because they are in isolated areas. People have less access to resources because those of us who are advocates, who provide resources on a regular basis, on a weekly and daily basis to these communities, cannot access everyone. When everyone is spread out and dispersed in places where we cannot find them, then we cannot serve them. So the results of sweeps are more bodies on our hands because we can't keep them alive if we don't know where they are. People don't have phones. People don't have or they don't have devices to charge their places to charge their devices. So it's really hard to contact folks when they're dispersed out of communities. So something that has happened in Biddeford when the sweep came through is that I have lost contact with so many of the people that I used to support in Biddeford because of the houseless sweep that happened there. I have no idea where they are. I can foresee the same thing happening with the people that I work with here today. So my request would be that initially, that Camp Hope not be swept, that Camp Hope be able to fulfill its namesake as a place where we can provide resources for people in their stepping stones. A lot of people's housing right now cannot be moved. For example, there are campers there. If those campers are moved, they will fall apart. And the moment those campers fall apart, that person has nowhere warm to stay. So I know that there is not room in the city budget at this point in time set aside for paying people for campers to be somewhere else, for paying for replacing all of all of the tents and and blankets and things that are going to be removed. And so if we want to best reserve our resources, we will allow people to live where they are right now. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I am an advocate who works directly with Camp Hope on a regular basis. And the people there truly matter to me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Casper Cowan, and I am currently a resident of Old Town, Maine. I go to the University of Maine at Orono. 2 weeks ago, my uncle, Adam Lauer, passed away after a year-long battle with pancreatic cancer. Although I am not from this area, Adam served this community for over 10 years as not a mental health professional, but as a medical professional. He built his practice from the ground up. His patients were more like family and friends than they were his patients. About a month ago, they all came together and they raised money for his treatment, for his family, so that they would be supported after he passed away. They came together and they raised thousands of dollars for his family, for his funeral, for the service thereafter. That, to me, is one of the most beautiful things in the world, a community coming together to support those in need. And right now, this is what this community needs, to support those that are in the most amount of danger, living on the streets, for those that want a home, for those that want to feel safe every night, for those that want to be warm. I'm sure that most of you are going to go home to your families for this holiday season, but a lot of those people living out in Camp Hope are not going to have that opportunity, and they're going to try to make the best of their situation. But kicking them out of that space is not going to help them make the best of that situation. So I hope that this community can come together once again and help the people that need to be helped. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zach Campo. I am co-founder and president of the board of Needle Point Sanctuary, which I believe is the city's largest syringe service program with HEAL suspending services. I want to thank you guys for holding the public hearing tonight. Welcome, Michael, to the council. I'm also here to encourage you not to do the sweep. We've been working with the homeless community now for over 5 years, and things have gotten progressively worse and worse. Ultimately, what we want to see people have is access to housing. We want to see them have access to good jobs and education, to healthcare. The reason that we say stop the sweeps is because we're ultimately powerless to make those things happen. So it's more of an expression of our powerlessness to keep people safe where they are, even though we don't really think that Camp Hope is that safe. Relatively, it's the safest place that people have. So at least throughout the winter, we would encourage you not to do the sweep and to focus more broadly on housing the community at large. And I'm a resident of Bangor again, so I thank you again for having this tonight, and I again encourage you not to sweep in December. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, folks. I'm Anthony. I'm currently a transient homeless resident of Bangor. I've been currently homeless probably going on a year now or so. I came into this thing tonight here full of enthusiasm, optimistic, and I was really happy to do this. I got my fellow people, my peers here. I got all the support in the world in the background. But when I was standing out in that hallway, I looked through that doorway and I saw one face that really changed everything. And no offense, ma'am, it was you. it showed
Can I
like.
ask why?
Because you were looking through my peers. You weren't looking at my peer. It didn't seem like you cared very much. And I'm not trying to attack you, but it really changed my whole demeanor on all this, because it feels like that we're now just peeing in the wind. I don't think that anything any of us could sit here and say is going to change you guys' mind. You already have it all made up. But I want one question, and the one question is what do you plan to do with all of us if you do carry out with the sweep, which I think that you're going to carry out with? I'd like to know what you're going to do with all of us. Like, where are we going to go? You guys don't want, obviously you guys don't want another repetitive system of what happened at the Ramada. So I know that option's out the window. I just, I want to remain optimistic, and I want to be hopeful for my peers, but I don't see it because just one person gave it away, that you guys already have your mind made up and you're not going to do anything else. There's no changing your mind. And it's very, very sad that, we organized this. We were so strong when we came in here. I felt that we were really, really strong. But it was crushed in a matter of seconds.
Well, I apologize if you got that impression. I don't have the answers, and it's very frustrating to hear what's going on in our community. And we've tried very hard. I know that I've only been on council for a year, and I've lost people to homelessness and drug overdose, close people. And it's very frustrating to sit here and try to make a difference. And I know every person on this council has been very passionate, compassionate. And when we hear about a death up to Camp Hope by a fire, it's horrible. I've always said from my very first day, no one should live and die on the streets. It's all of our responsibility to try to prevent that. And it's very frustrating to sit here and to be honest with you that we are doing the best we can. And it's very frustrating that we don't have, and I said a few weeks ago, we have failed you.
I just don't think the sweep is the answer. I really don't.
And I don't have the answer for that either. But I apologize. Don't give up hope because of me. I'm one person and I'm very sorry. If
I can't give
gave
up
you
hope.
that-
I got these two people backing me. I got way too many people
Well,
behind
keep
me.
the
I can't give
hope
up, and I won't.
And keep every day. There's someone in the audience right now, I can tell you is where you are, and I gave that person every day hope, and he's on a better road now. So, no, I wish you well, and I'll do all that I can.
I do have a couple ideas for proposals, but I don't know. This isn't, I don't have much time up here, so I know that.
And I'm one of 9, so
Okay.
I apologize, and don't let that discourage you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm also a local homeless person. Recently, we got our tent taken away from us. We were behind Cascade Park. I just found out tonight, it wasn't even City of Bangor's property that I was on. And they took it away from me without me being there. Everything I owned, I had to start all over again. I'm tired of being told to move along, move along, move along. You can't sleep here. You can't sleep here. It's past 10 o'clock. You can't be in the park. But it's okay to sleep in the parks during the day. I don't think that's right. I don't understand why we can't have a tent in the middle of the woods where nobody goes or sees or whatnot. I mean, would any of you want your tent or your house broken into and taken from you? No? That's what it's like to be homeless. The city takes our stuff, throws it away, like we're trash. You guys get to walk your doors. Some of us push carts, but it looks bad on the city. I don't have a car. I can't lock myself away. I have to take it with me wherever I go. If you shut Camp Hope down, Do you realize how much crime is gonna happen in Bangor? Because you're taking all of the people that are up there away from their homes. They're gonna need to survive. They're abandoned buildings. I've had to go in because it's cold outside. I'm not homeless by choice. You know, I lost everything and I just want some peace. I'm not trying, I don't destroy property, I don't, you know, break into places, I don't steal, I don't lie. And I'm just tired of being told, like I said, move along, you can't sit here, you can't sleep here. Well, where do we sleep? We walk around all night long and have nowhere to sleep. I don't know about you, but I hated working overnights. I don't do overnights, I can't stay up all night. So, anyways, that's me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else, we'll move to online comment. Doug Dunbar.
Hi there. Sorry, was there somebody else that in the room that was going to speak?
Go ahead, we'll come back to her, thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm so moved by my friends who are unhoused. I spend almost every day at the encampment, and I'm really speaking maybe to people in the room or who might be listening elsewhere, because I'm not quite sure what to say to the city councilors. Mike Beck, thanks for all you do at the encampment and elsewhere. Thank you so much. I know you get this. For the others, I don't know what to say. I worked in government for 30 years, and there were so many times that I was in a room like this where I thought I knew what was right. I had the answers. But not until I did research did I realize that I didn't have a clue. I didn't understand. And there are so many people who think, of course you should sweep encampments. They're not the healthiest. They're not the safest communities. But when you do the research, my friends, you realize that sweeping away people from encampments without housing, and by housing, I don't mean a chair in a warming center that closes during the day. Sitting in a chair, offering someone a chair in a warming center is not housing, it's not a shelter bed. And so when you sweep people away and you offer them a chair in a nighttime warming center, you're doing exactly the opposite of what all the research, all the evidence, all of the studies, all of the best practices tell us we should do. So you as a council, you may think, and you're welcome to do whatever you want. Through this process, you are criminalizing homelessness, and you think you know all the best practices. But when you do the research, when you do the homework, when you come to the encampment, you learn that what you are proposing to do is not the right way forward. I'm at the encampment every day. I'm at the Wednesday meetings that Jenna Jones is running. Penobscot County Cares is doing so many things for individuals in the encampment. But whether it's the American Public Health Association, the American Medical Association, the Coalition for Healthcare for the Homeless, the ACLU, the National Coalition to End Homelessness, the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, all of these organizations and agencies say what you are proposing to do is the wrong way forward. And you've heard why. So in government, we often think we just know best. We just know best. But until we hear the voices of individuals with lived experience and until we do the research, we often don't. And my friends on the Bangor City Council, closing the encampment at the end of December is contrary to everything you will read in the literature, all the studies, the research, and on and on and on. Why you think you know best when not following the research, I just don't get it. I don't get it anymore. But come to the encampment. Meet me there any day. Meet with the people. listen to their.
Mr. Dunbar, your time is up, sir. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lizzie. I'm currently a resident of Winterport. I have been a resident, well, I've lived all over Hancock, Waldo, Penobscot, and Cumberland County. First time I was homeless, I was 15 years old. And then I was off and on homeless for just about 10 years, 9 years. Lived in shelters and couch hopped. Never lived in like an encampment like that. And I'm here as an ally to those who are unhoused because I know a little bit of what that's like. And I want to ask everybody here that each step forward you take, treat people with love and kindness. Navigating this is very complex, I'm sure. But the frustration of not having housing is only going to get worse. Suicide's going to increase. And I'm very terrified for that. I'm terrified for my children's generation. I'm just very scared of the despair that we are kind of going into. So we need to lead with love, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tamara. I'm an Orono resident, Old Town. I just moved recently, and I work in Bangor. I want to start by saying that I would like to acknowledge the work that you are doing to house people and to meet people's needs. We see that, and it's so crucial, and we're so thankful for the things that you're doing to help outreach workers and caseworkers to meet these people's needs however they can. It's crucial, and we see it. Closing the encampment on December 31st, I'm afraid will not provide enough time for these people on the ground to keep people warm this winter. I understand that you would like every single person in Bangor to be inside this winter. So would we. That is the goal. We don't want people to be outside. We're not trying to keep people outside by any means by encouraging you to stop or at least delay this encampment closure. Our goal is the same. I think we all have the same goal in mind. I would like to acknowledge that. The research does show the harm that can be caused by closing homeless encampments. These people are a community and they're wonderful. I would encourage you to talk to them. I know some of you already have. They're wonderful people. And we don't want them outside either. They don't want to be outside. A lot of them don't want to be outside. We need more time. December 31st is right at the beginning of Maine's harsh part of the winter. Winters are getting more and more unpredictable. We can't control the cold, and there is safety in community, and uprooting these people from their community is going to cause less safety. And I know that you have safety in mind. So just thank you for doing the work that you're doing. Please keep doing those things. Please also reconsider December 31st as your final encampment closure date. A delay would be extremely helpful. Keeping the encampment open or maybe sanctioning a separate temporary encampment for people to stay in community would also be helpful. There are so many options, and there are community members who are so excited to work with you on implementing solutions. Closing the encampment is not a solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors. Hi Debbie.
Hi, Willie.
My name is Willie. I live in Orono. I'm the Executive Director of Needle Point Sanctuary. I guess what I wanted to share is that the process of care and healing and housing, it takes a lot more time than we would all like it to, right? There are people I'm working with now that I've known for 5 years. That's taken those 5 years to build the trust, to get them into housing. I know that there are caseworkers working diligently right now at the encampment. I believe that they would feel the same way. I also think part of the solution that gets overlooked is the unhoused community itself. What we're doing with Needlepoint is we're doing a low threshold employment program right now. And what we've seen is that the people in that program, within a year's time, go from being unhoused to housed, and pretty significant health improvements, reductions in use, all those things that you're looking for. So when it comes to these issues of public litter, loitering, needles on the ground, we don't need to hire a out-of-town company to come in and pick that up. The solution is right here. And it's very much amongst the community of unhoused residents who have a lot to offer and want to offer that and are often overlooked. I will just mention that this event that we did outside today, it took about 10 days to organize, and we have 30 days to organize the next one. So I hope that there will be some shift in your thinking and you're willing to listen and open your hearts. Thank you.
Seeing no one else approach and no hands online, we're going to close.
He wants a tissue.
Whatever he has to say is more important than what I've got. Hello, my name is Luke Sequeira Flanders. I work here in Bangor, also with Needlepoint Sanctuary.
Are you a resident of Bangor, sir?
No.
Thank you.
I think it's some of the rhetoric I've heard around homeless sweeps and around homelessness in general is very interesting. This idea that our unhoused community members have it too good, that a solution can come by responding to homelessness with further punishment, by responding to addiction with punishment. I've been working with Needlepoint Sanctuary for the last 5 months. I've been volunteering with them for the last nearly 2 years. Taking more than 5 minutes, or barely more than 5 minutes, to just sit down with our unhoused community members and to listen to their stories, it is bad enough. We do not need to further disincentivize homelessness because it is bad enough. I mean, my first experience volunteering with Needlepoint Sanctuary was during the deep freeze we had where it reached, 30 below zero? My God. I mean, if we hadn't opened, our emergency warming shelter, a lot of people would have died. And even then, there was a lot of avoidable suffering. And in hearing people's stories, there is, the lived experiences of these people, is the kind of suffering, the kind of indignities that I don't think we even really have language for. We don't have the language for in English language to adequately describe, And I think that this sweep will not meet the intended objectives that I believe are set forth by the city. I believe that further traumatizing people and dispersing the population is counterintuitive and dangerous and deadly, and will, the deaths that it will result in will, that's a permanent consequence of a temporary situation. So I really hope that you all listen to your better judgment, to your conscience, and invest in better solutions. Thank you. I really
Hi, my name is Camille. I'm a resident of Orono. I'm concerned that the planned sweep will put our unhoused neighbors in Bangor in danger. And I just actually believe that the city of Bangor should prioritize the dignity and humanity of every individual, regardless of their housing status. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Souls. I live in Old Town. I care deeply about the community that I live in, the greater Bangor community, no matter how much money people have, where they're coming from, and where they're sleeping at night. Listening to people who are sleeping on the streets right now speak about their experiences outside of this building has been extremely moving. I would urge you to listen to these people. I would urge you to listen to people who are experiencing these things about what they say they need and what they say they don't need. And we know that the sweeps will not help them. They know that the sweeps won't help them, and you should listen to people when they tell you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Marilee. I live in Bangor, and I was looking at your new website, beautifully done, and I was just taking a little perusal under the tab that says your government, city council, then council priorities for 2023-2024, and it's titled as Year of Housing. And through time and effort and research that you all have done, I know there's been partnerships with a variety of outfits, who I can't remember what their name is. The decision was to, that the city council, and I'm quoting your website for a moment just to reflect back to you some of the words that I read. The City Council discussed and indicated support for designating housing as the priority for the coming year, as housing impacts every aspect of our community. You went on to state on your website, our goal is to increase the opportunities for all residents to have access to quality housing that meets their needs. Housing is a critical component of our community's well-being and economic vitality. Well written, beautiful words, and I was thinking a little bit about this earlier. I went through your homelessness response services system redesign using data, which was a little confusing. I know I'm not trying to do a website review. I just couldn't really understand that part, and I couldn't also understand that where is the community's well-being as a priority in this proposed sweep? Is it instead the economic vitality that you state as a critical component of your goals? Is the economic vitality the 75-unit middle-class housing that just got passed, which is also wonderful, but it's in complete contradiction of sweeping, removing people from their homes. And so all I could think to do was to reflect back your own words that are on your website, available to the public to read, and kind of shed some light on a pretty glaring contradiction that going forth with a sweep would make clear to many, many people. So, yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. We have time for one more comment, and then we'll move on to the consent agenda.
So I didn't prepare anything, but I'm compelled to speak. My name is Kelsey Conley. I am a resident of Bangor. I've also been unhoused in my past due to instances of domestic violence. I've done a lot of campaign work. I've done census work. I think that the estimates for the unhoused population are grossly underestimated. There's not enough. I come from Southern Maine originally, and there's one shelter for an entire county, and up here it's not really much better. There's not enough beds in the shelter. The warming centers are not enough, and I know from my experience. Luckily, I had a car, so I was not in a position where many people have had to sleep on the streets. But even then, the hardest part was finding a safe place for me to sleep every night. If you don't have a safe place to sleep every night, then you can't do the things with getting a job and all that stuff. I was very lucky and able to work 2 jobs to get myself out of homelessness. But in order for people who are living in Camp Hope to do that, coming home, to this Camp Hope, that's as much of a home as they have right now. I think that the sweep, doing sweeps, is not about the safety or well-being of the people in the camp. I think it's about the discomfort of people who see the camp. And I don't think that should be the priority of the council. I think that there's a lot of good work being done to help people who are homeless. I think that we can all agree that it's not enough. And while it's not enough, let's at least let the people who have come together in Camp Hope have that sense of community to protect them. Let's let them have that one concern in their life, to be settled, okay, I'm coming here tonight, I have this space to sleep tonight, so I can start working on the other issues in my life that are causing me to be unhoused. I just want to urge the council to make what I believe is the right decision, and not do a sweep on December 31st in the middle of the winter, where these people will now have that, where am I going to sleep tonight? Where are my friends? I think that that's the last concern somebody needs when it's 15 degrees or below in the middle of winter. Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's spoken tonight. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Minutes of City Council meeting of October 28th, 2024, and Finance Committee meeting of October 28th, 2024. Liquor license renewals. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of AK George, DBA Lazy Hound, 10 Broad Street. Application for liquor license renewal, malt of Hang Fung Inc., doing business as New Happy China Buffet, 753 Stillwater Avenue. 25-002 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 27 Maxwell Lane.
Move passage of the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Sorry, I'm going to hold for a moment to allow the room to clear for people who'd like to leave. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Seeing no doubt, consent agenda has passage. New business.
25-003 resolve acknowledging receipt of the official results of the November 5th, 2024 general and municipal elections. Councilor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This resolve will acknowledge the city's result of this general and municipal elections on November 5th, 2024. I move passage of resolve 25-003.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Councilor Trumbull.
Yeah, I don't question the election results. I just want to comment on how good the election process was in Bangor. I think it was a stressful year for elections leading into them, and I think the early voting went great. The election, it was a late night to get the final results. I waited up with you, Lisa, but other than that, I think it was a great process for the election. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Beck.
I would just second what Councilor Trumbull had to say. You know, as someone who was out front greeting voters that came in, it was just a well-oiled machine. And, you know, once again, you know, free and fair election for Bangor. You know, I've been here 10 years next year, and it's just every year it's just been a well-oiled machine. You know, it's something we can always, you know, take comfort in knowing that our elections are always free, fair, and secure. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no doubt, item 25-003 has passage. Brings us to the end of the scheduled agenda for the evening. Do we have any comments from staff? Thank you. Closing comments, Councilor Allen.
It's been an interesting evening, and I've enjoyed it, but it gives me a lot to think about. Good night.
Thank you. Councilor Fish.
I want to welcome Councilor Beck and Councilor Mailer. I look forward to working with you this year. And if there's anything I can do to help, or feel free to call me, text me, or however you want to communicate. But I look forward to working with you this year. Welcome aboard. Other than that, good night.
Thank you. Councilor Haas.
I too welcome Councilor Mallor and Councilor Beck. Also, I'm also available if you need any help or questions of anything. I think we've got a busy year ahead of us, and we can do it. Good night.
Thank you. Councilor Trumbull.
Yeah, well, congratulations to the council chair again for another year as council chair, and welcome back, Councilor Hawes, and welcome board councilors Beck and Mallor. I actually thought now that you guys were sitting here that be a much shorter public comment period, but that didn't happen tonight. We'll see next time on it. And I do want to congratulate the Bangor High Girls Soccer team. They won the state championship last weekend. They went through the season with just one loss, and they had a great season. So, good night.
Thank you. Councilor Fournier.
Congratulations, Councilor Aller, Councilor Beck, Councilor Hawes. I'm really happy that now I'm not the eldest person in the room as far as councilors go, so thank you. Good night.
Councilor Dean.
Welcome to our new councilors. Councilor Beck, Councilor Mallon, welcome back. Councilor Hawes, thank you for another year. Council Chair not here. Thank you for everyone that came out tonight. I know most of you have left. If anyone's still watching, we do appreciate all the comments. We do listen to what you say. We will take it to heart, and we will discuss what's going on in this fair city that we call home. We love Bangor. We love our residents, and we want what is best for Bangor. So good night, everyone.
Thank you. Councilor Beck.
Well, thank you everyone for the welcome. You definitely have made this transition into the role very easy, and I really look forward to a year of working together and what it'll bring. And I just wanted to, say something about all the folks who came out to speak tonight. What a difference a year makes. A year ago, I was sitting out there with you, the green X on my chest, and now here I am on this side. I would just say this is, hold me accountable. And hold all of us accountable. We're working hard, but we serve you, and you guys are the eyes and ears and boots on the ground, and keep sharing with us what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and we're listening. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to echo the welcome to the new and returning members of council. We're glad you're here. Glad for your energy and fresh perspective. I said this morning in my acceptance speech, I'll echo it again. The expectation is that we will have passionate disagreement, and that's why there are 9 of us and not just 1. You are not too early in your tenure to help us make great decisions. You're not too early to give opinions. That's what the people who elected you expect of you. So please don't be afraid to jump in with both feet, and I'm sure you won't, because we've already seen that in action. Being said, to the folks who spoke tonight, it takes a tremendous amount of courage to stand up here and advocate for a community, whether it's a community that you're a part of or a community that you dearly love. I will encourage folks who I know were outside and so didn't see the workshop at 6 o'clock tonight, to please go back and watch the recording. It is not the case that we're simply shutting down the encampment without a plan to help people find permanent supportive housing. That has been the plan all along, is to assist people in that process. And the goal is to make sure that when the camp is closed, everybody has a safe, permanent place that they can call home. We know that this is a tough process. We know it's painful, and we're trying to make it as chaos-free as possible. But in the end, our goal is that every person in this community has a place to call home. So thank you for sharing, listening. I know I'm not speaking just for myself when I say that these stories have power, they're important to us. Council knows that I get excited when I see a full room, because it means that people care enough about something to show up. And so I deeply appreciate the effort this evening. With that,